Acharya Shripad Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki, Vedanta Good Vaishnava ki, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki, Namaskar Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Rasa Gaur Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath, Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham, Shri Mayapur Dham ki, Angamaya ki, Umaramaya ki, Tulsi Deva ki, Bhakti Deva ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki, Lord Chaitanya Sri Rama Sankirtanam ki, Sri Hatmagnanga ki, Shri Prabhupada Strasandara Book Marathon ki, Bhagavata Premanand ki, oh, glorious to the Assembly.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, glorious to Shri Guru and Grand, oh, glorious to Shri Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami. Namaste Saraswati Gaurapani Pacharine, Nirvasesha Sanyavari Pastachari Shatari. verse number?
Yesterday we did 34.
35 onwards.
On
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Is it on the board?
38.
I'll read the previous verses. Tam alokya sarve kalasam. 35 on the board?
38.
38. Kind of someone's almost repeating. Kalasam chamavittabritam lipsantak sarvavastuni kalasam tarasavam. Upon seeing Dhanvantari carrying the jug of water, or the jug of nectar, the demons, desiring the jug and its contents, immediately snatched it away by force. Niyamane suraistasmin kalase mittapajane vishana manaso deva haring sharanam ayuyaha. When the jug of water was carried off by the demons, what do I say, the jug of water? Nectar. When the jug of nectar was carried off by the demons, the demigods were morose. Thus they sought shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. And text 38. Eti tad dhainyam alokya bhagavan britya kamakit ma kidjata mitong urotam ma kidjata mitortang va sadayishe swamayaya. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always desires to fulfill the ambitions of his devotees, saw that the demigods were morose, he said to them, "Do not be aggrieved. By my own energy I shall bewilder the demons by creating a quarrel among them. In this way I shall fulfill your desire to have the nectar." Next one, text 38. Mittaha Kalir Abut Tesham Tadarte Darsha Chetasam Aham Purvam Aham Purvam Na Twang Iti Prabhu Nita Kalira Bhuttesham Tadate Tarshachetasam Aham Purvam Na Twang Iti Prabhu Mita Kalira Bhuttesham Tadate Tarshachetasam Aham Purvam Na Twang Iti Prabhu Mita Kalira Bhuttesham Tadate Tarshachetasam Aham Purvam Na Twang Iti Prabhu
Mithakalira Bhuttesham Hadarte Tarsha Chetasam Aham Purvam Natvam Iti Prabhu
Mitakalira bhutesham.
Mitakalira bhutesham.
Tadartita chachetasam.
Tadartita chachetasam.
Aham purvam, aham purvam.
Aham purvam, aham purvam.
Nadvam, nadvam iti prabhu.
Natvam, natvam iti prabho.
And ladies?
Mitakalira bhutesham.
Mitakalira bhutesham. Tadartita chachetasam. Aham purvam, aham purvam. Natvam, natvam iti prabho.
Mitaha,
Mitaha.
among themselves,
Among themselves.
Kalihi,
Pali.
disagreement and quarrel.
Disagreement and quarrel.
Abut,
Abud.
there was. Tesham,
Tesham.
of all of them.
Of all of them.
Tatarte,
Tadat.
for the sake of nectar.
For the sake of nectar.
Tarta Chetasam,
Tash chetasam.
bewildered in heart
Bewildered in heart
and soul
and soul.
by the illusory energy
By the illusory
of
energy.
Vishnu.
Vishnu.
Aham,
Aham.
I.
I.
Purvam,
Purvam.
first.
First.
Aham,
Aham.
I.
I.
Purvam,
Purvam.
first.
First.
No,
No.
not.
Not.
Tvam,
Tvam.
you.
You.
No,
Not.
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 Tvam,
Tvam.
you.
You.
Iti,
Iti.
thus.
Thus.
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
O king.
O king.
O king, a quarrel then arose among the demons over who would get the nectar first. Each of them said, you cannot drink it first, I must drink it first. Me first, not you. You may have heard a similar kind of, let's say, statements during our lives. Maybe we've even made them ourselves. Purport. This is the symptom of demons. The first concern of a non-devotee, how to enjoy his personal sense gratification at once, whereas the devotee's first concern is to satisfy the Lord. This is the distinction between a non-devotee and the devotee. In this material world, since most people are non-devotees, they regularly compete, fight, disagree, and war among themselves, where everyone wants to enjoy and satisfy his own senses. Therefore, unless such demons become Krishna conscious and are trained to satisfy the senses of the Lord, there can be no question of peace in human society or any society, even that of the demigods. The demigods and devotees, however, always surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus the Lord is always anxious to satisfy their ambitions. While the demons fight to satisfy their own senses, devotees engage in devotional service to satisfy the senses of the Lord. The members of the Krishna conscious movement must be alert in regard to this point, and then their preaching of the Krishna conscious movement will be successful. So was that point that the devotees are always very careful. They engage in devotional service not to satisfy their own senses, but to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That's the, you could say, the definition of a devotee. There may be mixtures there, like with the demigods, they're usually a little bit materialistically inclined. They're not necessarily nishkama, they're not without any particular desire separate from the Lord. Sometimes the demigods are attached to their position, attached to the fruits of their work, but their lives are directed, generally speaking, it is classified, although it may not be a pure devotional service, it's still classified within the realm of devotional service when one chooses one's work according to the varna and ashram, or one's karma, etc. And it may be attached to the work, maybe even somewhat attached to the fruits, but nonetheless, understanding that ultimately God, Krishna, is the supreme and it should perform sacrifice for his pleasure, but with some intention of one's own satisfaction involved. That means one's in a mixed stage of devotional service, karma, mishra bhakti, or jnana mishra bhakti, Whereas for a pure devotee of the Lord, they have no such consideration. They have no concern what happens to themselves particularly. Their only concern is to please the pleasure of the senses of the Lord. Now that's a high level of devotional service, which one may be aspiring towards. We cannot imitate that. We cannot jump to that level of consciousness. The way we develop that level of consciousness is to follow one who has it. So that's why the importance is emphasized again and again. Imagine yenda sapanta. One must follow in the footsteps of those great Mahajans. Those personalities are living entirely for the pleasure of the Lord. The Sakama Bhaktas, those who are still attached to somewhat position and fruits of the work, they may be doing a job, they're employed, they're very pious and they're godly, and God-fearing, whatever. They're given a job and they're doing it very well for the pleasure, in one sense, the pleasure of the Lord, but in the other sense, they do have their conditions. It's not unconditional. Conditional devotional service. And generally speaking, our lives are a little conditional. We're attached to results. We're attached to, how we feel, which is quite normal in conditioned soul, you could say. The basic principle is mentioned here, that of the demon. Everything is based around how I feel. How I feel about, I was just listening to the lecture of Srila Prabhupada, describing Prahlad Maharaj, how he stood there, basically motionless. He wasn't like crying or screaming or something when his father was killed by Nrsingadeva. Why? Because he saw his father as a demon. His father was against Krishna, and therefore the best thing for him was to be killed. And sometimes the devotees take this a little literally, and some religions take it literally, misinterpret it in different ways. That anyone they classify as a demon should be killed. Because what classifies as a demon is another thing. When we look at our own selves, we probably see that we're more of a demon than the people we're calling demons sometimes. So, it's another thing altogether. It's not just a matter of designation or some kind of, family doctrine, whatever it may be. But it's actually a question of our consciousness and the intentions of our activities, the concepts which we have. Why we're doing what we're doing. It's the same with Sankirtan. Why we go on Sankirtan, it may vary. Any performance of Sankirtan which brings some kind of assistance to the pure devotee and some kind of relief to the conditioned soul is all auspicious. But there are also degrees. One is performing devotional service in consciousness. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in all your activities be conscious of me. Surrender unto me. Do it for me. But we may not always be in that mood, but there's an element of that, otherwise we wouldn't do it at all. We don't have to do it this way at least. So, but it may still be tinged with a certain condition. We all have our conditions. Some of them are to be, obviously, if we're sick and so on and so forth. There may be obvious reasons why the conditions have to be seriously taken into account. But quite often the conditions are mental or emotional, attitudinal, and so on and so forth. How I feel. I don't feel like doing this. Well, that's one stage which one may go through. Everyone goes through it at some stage, of course. But oftentimes that is something which holds us back from surrender. We don't want to surrender. I don't feel like surrendering. Krishna says, give up all these other ideas and surrender fully to me. You may not be so keen on it many times. Krishna consciousness movement is designed to help us to make that transformation, as we discussed the other day, from this mentality of Atmendriya to Krishnendriya, from seeing oneself as the enjoyer to seeing Krishna as the enjoyer. We may think that, oh no, it's too much trouble, too austere, whatever we think sometimes. I've got to fulfill my own desire. So Vedic system provides for that. Varnashram system is geared towards that element of mentality in such a way that gradually one becomes freed of seeing oneself in the center, of being identified with the particular condition which we're in. Seeing oneself in the center is basically, is the false ego, identifying with a particular body due to one's karma, mental and physical, and carrying on in that mentality. Due to false identity, we want to try to satisfy the mind and senses of that illusory personality in one sense, because that's not us. We're not this body and mind. But that's not always so easy to live by, as it is to say. But that's the principle. The false ego is attached to that body and mind for the sake of trying to be happier and trying to get satisfaction therein. Of course, living condition soul identifies with it as being one's very self, as it's clearly stated that there's nothing more dear to the living entity than its own self. So as long as we don't realize our spiritual identity, then the tendency is we're very attached to this body of mind, and we're very attached to what happens therein, its thoughts, etc. Very attached. And we mold our life based upon the effect of the material energy on our mind and body. We avoid things, accept things, whether they're maybe materially speaking, it's common sense, but from the point of view of spirituality, whether it's favorable or unfavorable is not an issue. The conditioned soul doesn't take that into account. Whereas a pure devotee only takes that into account. Whatever happens, he's not, whether he's put into difficulty, I put one out this one. Let's read that one. Snippet from Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada speaks on his arrival. I think this is in Vrindavan in 76. Yeah, it is. So we have to face them. Our Krishna conscious movement is facing these rascals, these Duskritinas, these Naradamas, and to request them to become Krishna conscious. So we have them. In Kali Yuga, we just heard it's the age of quarrel. This word Kali means quarrel, and that's why it's called the age of quarrel, the age of Kali. People quarrel very easily. They get angry very easily, and so on. But we have that within our own hearts. When our own desires are not satisfied, we also become quite disturbed, quite angry sometimes, internally, and it may be expressed externally also. We may become depressed. Another transformation of anger is depression. We become very, very frustrated and very hopeless. Kind of derived from it, from a feeling of frustration, which usually results in anger. It can also go the other way. So these rascals are within our own hearts, basically. They're not just people around us. We have a tendency to point the finger at others around us. But looking within is another angle, which is highly emphasized by our acharyas. To first of all remove within our own hearts the element, which is this false ego, this tendency to see ourselves in the center, to always be meditating upon ourselves. We call the self, one of the definitions of self is the body and mind. The people who identify with that is basically their idea of self. It's not the absolute self, the eternal self, which never comes into being. It's a creation of the material energy based on our karma. But we're so much attached to it that we, basically speaking, we're blind to our real identity. So for such people who have this selfish mentality like this, we still got, this is rascaldom, this is the cause of the quarrel, the strife, the suffering, stress, and everything else that people experience in this world today, any day. Come to that. This Kritina, impious mentality. And we have to constantly be trying to rectify this and to bring our minds around our bodies, engage our bodies accordingly in the service of the Lord. So this is done by this following in the footsteps of those who are pure devotees. Just like by association we become Duskriti or demonic, sinful. By association, of course, it's desire that gives us that association, you could say, initially. And then we become attached to that and act accordingly. And we become purified. It's the same principle. Even if there's no desire on our part, there's a desire on the part of the devotee. The devotee wants that others become Krishna conscious. the strong desires of the devotees. That's in one sense the cause of the awakening within the conditioned soul's heart for again turning towards Krishna. The strong desire in the heart of the devotee. Somehow or another, by that strong desire, Krishna inspires the person to reconnect again, to whatever degree, but to some degree. Give them that chance again, as Prabhupada says here in today's purport. The members of the Krishna conscious movement must be alert in regard to this point, and then their preaching of the Krishna conscious movement will be successful. So the more we're thinking like that, the more we're meditating on Radha Parasishwar, doing our service for their pleasure, Nitai Sachi Sukha Jagannath Baladev Subhadra and so on. It's nice to always remember that we're not just going out to sell books or whatever it is. We're trying to please them. We're trying to act in a way which will bring them pleasure. So how you bring them pleasure? What is the, the proof or what type of evidence is it that brings them pleasure? That's not another topic, but it's a bigger topic, and we're not getting into that today. But the principle is there, that the devotee tries to think how I can act in such a way to please the deity, to please the Lord. They are the Radha Parasishwar, they're the controllers of Paras. Others think they're the controllers. This is the illusion. The demons always think like that, whether it's Ravana or Hiranyakashipu, Duryodhana, whoever it may be. They all think that they are their owners, controllers, proprietors, everything. So that mentality is the cause of perpetual birth and death in this world, demonic mentality, hellish mentality, which needs to be changed. So the devotees try to change it in various ways. And we're in the middle of the Prabhupada book marathon, so that's a primary way of trying to evoke a change in people's attitude in their lives in general. It takes some time, Prabhupada said clearly, I started the revolution. He says it here, listen carefully. Prabhupada says, this is the Krishna conscious movement. You cannot sit idly to show your gorgeousness in a secluded place. No. Imitating Haridas Thakur, Hare Krishna, no. You have to preach. That is the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Amara Agya Guru Hanatara Edesh. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Sri Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. That is really following the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not to imitate Haridas Thakur. That is not possible. You can, even you do that very nicely, that is for your safety. Supposing that you are doing nicely, but that is for your safety. For one who is facing dangerous position for others' benefit, they are very quickly recognized by Krishna. Nachatasman manusheshu kastin me priyakritamaha yaidam paramam guyam mad bhakteshvabi dashyati. 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you may know those verses. So if you face, just like fighting soldiers, they are facing danger for the country. They are recognized. Similarly, those who are preachers on behalf of Krishna, preaching people to take to Krishna consciousness, they are great soldiers. So I am very happy that you Europeans and Americans especially, you are helping me. So continue this process. And that is the very easy way to be recognized by Krishna. Because he says, Nachatasman manusheshu kastin me priyakritamaha. Who is preaching this Krishna consciousness? So I thank you very much that you have come here in Vrindavan and you are traveling. You are preaching. So let us dedicate this life to preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. Never mind we die by preaching. Still it would be glorious. Thank you very much. Prabhupada ki jai. I'll read the scrolls of how these books are going out and how the devotees and other devotees are knowingly, unknowingly, willingly, unwillingly, whatever it may be, instrumental in the books going out, and some are being received by the fortunate souls. If you don't do it, they're not going to get it, are they? If Prabhupada hadn't come to the West, none of us, I mean, how much in debt I was listening to one Prabhupada saying also how indebted we are to Srila Vyasadeva, to all the great acharyas who presented this knowledge in the form of books or writings, without which we'd have no idea. We remain ever indebted. Srila Prabhupada has given the world the greatest thing of all, greatest gift of all in the form of his books, which will remain the guidelines for people for the next 10,000 years, according to the words of Srila Prabhupada. Guidelines during this Kali Yuga. How to take advantage of this difficult situation, very difficult situation, dangerous situation, disturbing situation, stressful situation, etc. How to take advantage of that in a way which will deliver or help free us from this illusion that everyone's in. Let me see, here we go. Yesterday in book distribution. Okay. Well, we started off the first 6 scores that came in. I put some little notes on the Sankirtan forum. That every single score was 1, so it said everyone has 1. We've all won. Even if you've done 1, you've won. We've won. So 1 and 1, in spiritual material they speak of 2. In the spiritual world they're absolute. So if you've done 1, you've really won. So many devotees did 1 in a row. All the scores were coming in very wonderful. So on and so forth. And we'll read some of those who did 1. Petit Pavana, Prabhu did 1 small book. Sophia did 1 medium book. Susanna, that's her first entry in the marathon, did 1 medium book. That was in Châtillon sur Indre. And Rohini Nandan, 1 his first entry, 1 Mahabig book. Kamala Sundari, 1 Mahabig book. Me, 1 Mahabig book. Baladev, his first entry, 1 Mahabig book. Baladev. Now we're going to see the books flying. If Baladev gets on the field, no stopping him. He'll be out there with the bulls plowing the fields, Sankirtan. And also for, not first entry, but almost first entry with 1 Gauranga Prema Prabhu. It's funny, actually, I think it was those 7 devotees were the first ones to report scores. There's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. All 1. And Prabhupada said, all 1. It's not all 1, but he said, in one sense, he said, 1 Bhagavad Gita, 5 in a row, 1 Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said, 1 book, Bhagavad Gita. So they're following Prabhupada's instruction. 1 book, Bhagavad Gita. 1 religion, 1 book, 1 mantra like that. And then with 1 small book and 5 Mahabig books, Bhaktin Aliyah. And with 2 small books, 10 medium books and 9 Mahabig books, Bhakti Himanshu. And with 33 small books, 1 medium book and 9 Mahabig books, Mahanada Prabhu. Big lord there. He's in Lisbon. Not quite so austere there. And with 1 Arabic Bhagavad Gita, 5 small books, and 13 Mahabig books, Devaki Pran Prabhu. And I think you just went up the road, huh? I think you just went up the road. With 6 Arabic books, small books, 1 Arabic Gita, 5 small books, 8 medium books, and 8 Mahabig books, back to Matya. Is he here? There he is. Where did you go? To the
Osham.
Just out near
Where
Ocean.
you were suggested.
Yeah. Not bad, huh?
2 hours and
Yeah,
then.
not bad. As much as you do in the city, practically in 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And then with 6 Arabic books, small books, 1 magazine, 7 medium books, and 13 Mahabig books, Dainitai Prabhu. Also went to Yoga Lyric last night. And then, this is the big score of the day, 12 Arabic books, small ones, 1 small book, 2 magazines, and 7 Bhagavad Gitas, Priya Rani Devi Dasi. And Priya Rani also went how many? Hour and a half?
I think so.
Even less, I think.
maybe less than an hour and a half, just
Yeah,
over an hour
something.
in Ocean.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone's running down to the city, struggling all day long with people who wish you never existed and don't care if you do or don't,
Yeah.
and distribute one book or 5 books or something. You just walk up the street there and do more books in 1 hour. Think about it. Maybe the suburbs aren't as bad as they look. Just because it's not millions of people running in every direction. Huh?
They said everyone is going to go to Ocean.
That won't work if there's 12 devotees up at Ocean. 1 or 2 might be able. I mean, Ocean means around the back as well. It's like my place, the whole area around the back there is quite a lot of people buzzing around. But there are many places like that, you know. If you're into car parks, for instance, which I don't know if anyone here has ever done it, but Sundar Gopal always does his big stores in the car parks. He's won marathons in the past just by, and devotees used to come, you know, from Noisy-le-Grand. When they were living in Noisy-le-Grand, they used to come to Sarcelles to do Sankirtan. Did you know that? They used to come all over Paris, not to the sea. They come all the way from Noisy-le-Grand to Sarcelles to do Sankirtan.
Wow.
Every day.
Wow.
Where is that?
What's it called? Saint-Brice
Oh.
the Carrefour car park.
Oh.
Huge shopping mall, which is over the other side. But you got to be very indiscreet, and you know, you've got to be very confident in the car park. They collect big donations and sell books. People in their cars, getting in and out of their cars, going to the shops. It's about a 5-minute drive from here. He went there the other day. 11 Gitas an hour, I think.
Wow.
But he's expert. I mean, he's really expert at it. He doesn't do the street. He just does the car park. He only goes out 1 hour a week. But he's very expert. So anyway, it's just some thoughts. But there are many suburbs which you never know. Maybe people have never seen us, and they're much simpler. And they're all local. There's no tourists there. If you can't speak French, it's not so easy. But if you speak French, it's pretty good. Well, even if you don't speak French, it's a lot less, you know, say passionate. You always need people who speak, who can bluff your way through. Anyway, just food for thought. Then yesterday was 2 magazines, 4 small books, 2 medium books, and 35 Bhagavad Gitas. Aristanasana Prabhu. And I'm not sure, absolutely, that might be his last full day. He said he was going to do 2 days in Lyon and go back to Mayapur. And then he'll do a little bit more, he said, on a few other days, like, you know, on Harinam Day or on Gita Jayanti, if Krishna allows. But basically, as far as I know, that's his last full day. And then, yes, they've done number 2, with 18 Arabic small books and 26 Bhagavad Gitas. Harini Devi Dasi. And back with a bang, as I said, back on the battlefield again with a big, didn't take long, with 45 Arabic books and 36 Bhagavad Gitas. Rasananda Sankirtan Prabhu. Oh. Yeah, so total yesterday, 170 Bhagavad Gitas, 39 medium books, 60 small books, 3 magazines, 2 Arabic Gitas, 88 small Arabic books, and 650.8 book books. Hare Krishna, everyone. Well done.
Hare Krishna.
Did I? Hari Bol. We're going to see 12 devotees outside Ocean store today. That's mine. No. Take from me, don't take from them. Take from me, take from them.
There are not many people there.
No, there's not many people.
Really not many people.
Just few people passing by.
Really
Yeah, there's not. You can't have more than one person outside
Yes.
of Ocean, to be
When
honest.
we were two together.
Yeah, we were fighting for the people
Yes,
actually.
so-
Fighting over people.
Yes.
You can have one person there, but you can go around the back and go to Action and those other places when it's busy there. But really, you can't have more than 1 or 2 people.
But you know what? That
In the evening after we finish the garden.
we went there in the most busy period of the day,
Yeah, the evening time.
which is in between 4 and 6.
Yeah.
So the rest of the day we don't know how it is.
Next to nothing. Morning's
Yeah.
usually dead.
Right.
Yeah, so
Morning's usually dead. Yes, a fact. I mean, there's certain times when it's busy. You can't just be there. That's sanctioned. You work out where to go, which time. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
You catch the the people coming and going, whatever it is. It's much better. The metro station not so good. People are in a rush at the metro stations, isn't it? They're always rushing on or off the trains. They don't want to stop usually. But things like this, if you do Arab markets or something, so people are milling around. But in big shopping malls, they're milling around. They're not in such a major rush usually. There's nothing major to rush about. If they're a train to catch usually. It's just some food for thought.
Maraj, I have a question
Yeah.
about the quote that you shared with us in the WhatsApp group also.
Quotes or quotas.
Yeah, the quote of Prabhupada, one book, one religion, one way, something like that. I don't remember it
Yes,
exactly.
it's in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ekam Shastram.
Huh?
Ekam Shastram
You know the Sanskrit, we learned it, it's Gita Mahatmya.
Yeah. It's the 7 verses. I can show you.
Gita Mahatmya. You bring an English Gita, I'll read it to you. We may think this is like,
Even
sounds
the
like
French,
everyone else.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, là.
The English Gita there?
Shastram.
It's the same, you could say it could be misunderstood, or taking it literally is fine, because it will not exclude others who are in relationship with that necessarily. It goes, Eko Deva Devaki Putra Eva. Let there be one God for the whole world, Sri Krishna. Eka Mantras Tasya Namami. And one hymn, one mantra, one prayer, on chanting. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. I missed the first line, excuse me. Ekam Shastram Devakaputra Gitam. Let there be one scripture only, one common scripture for the whole world, Bhagavad Gita. So what does that mean? Yeah, it can be taken absolutely literally, that's perfectly right. It doesn't mean, everything else is like, what we say, the work of the devil. Doesn't mean that. The Bhagavad Gita is like the summation of everything in terms of deliverance from this world and achieving the real purpose of human life. So whatever is corollary or in relationship to that and leads to that. It's like the Bhagavad Gita, people quote one verse from the Bhagavad Gita, now I've told you everything, now you do what you like. They accept that as the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Indian people are especially like that person. Krishna says to Arjuna, I've told you everything, now you decide what you want to do. There are all kinds of misuses, these are statements of the Gita, performing your duty, whatever, come what may. These are all leading up to the actual essence of Bhagavad Gita, which is full surrender. Full surrender to Krishna. That is the purpose of all religion, of all spirituality, of human life, is to fully surrender to God. And God in His fullness is Krishna. He may appear in other forms, no doubt about it. He may speak in different ways to different persons in different places, but ultimately the idea is to come to that point of complete surrender, complete Krishna consciousness. It's not to remain as a Kama Bhakta, it's not to remain as some kind of dogmatic cult, but it's to actually come to that point of absolute realization. The Bhagavad Gita takes us to that point of absolute realization. Others may direct us towards that. Even Bhagavad Gita itself, for the most part, is directing us towards the essential purpose of Bhagavad Gita, to completely surrender to Krishna. So, it's really putting that emphasis on the unique tradition of the Bhagavad Gita, which it is unique. It's spoken by God Himself. Generally speaking, we hear about scriptures and so on, their revelations or statements of what we've heard, etc. But this is directly spoken by the Supreme Personality of God. It's His personal will, which He's given us, and in Kali Yuga particularly, the Mahamantra is that given by God Himself as the perfect mantra. Other mantras Prabhupada doesn't say they're no good. He says that any name of God is good to chant, but particularly the Mahamantra is complete in every respect. It's complete. Everything is contained within the Mahamantra. and one God. Well, there is only one God. There's 2 gods, 3 gods, 4 gods. There's only one God. Although people may misunderstand this, it's actually not anything else is short of understanding what is the nature of God. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. You can call him another name or understand him in different forms, but ultimately Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. You can't have another God. There's no competitor. Competitor is God, one without a second, so they say. And what's that? So this is the desire of a devotee, so that everyone can go back to Godhead. Everyone follow the instructions, whether they come from this source or that source, that lead to complete surrender to the Lord. Bhagavad Gita means the song of God. If we sing our own song, then we're not going to go back to Godhead. So everyone should hear the song of God. Everyone should chant his names, the names of God. And everyone should know who God is. Supreme Personality of God. Ekam Shastram Devaputra Gitam Eko Deva Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mantras Tasya Namami Yani Karmakekam Tasya Devasya Seva. 7th verse of the Gita Mahatmya. That's the last lines of Srila Prabhupada. And then last line is, and let there be one work only, the service of the Supreme Personality of God. Back to the verse. The pure devotee sees how everything is connected to that state. He doesn't see like there's this one and that one doesn't agree with that one and that one's right and this one's wrong. He sees how everything is connected to that pinnacle, that principal pinnacle of understanding the real nature of God, the real nature of awakening our pure, loving devotional service to God, the practical application, what is the direction which will, scriptural direction to achieve that, and so on and so forth. The service, how to render service. Most people don't know about service to the Lord. It's a sentiment that I believe in God, and that's about as far as it goes. And I pray. Prayer is okay, it's a service. But they don't know much more than that usually. It usually stops at that point in time. Prayer. And their prayer is not usually one of pure devotion. It's usually one at best, sakama, mixed. At best, it's oftentimes just all about me or us. Save us, help us, give us, etc. Generally. And sometimes a little mixed. But it's very rare. Pure, unconditional devotional service is very rare. And that's the characteristic of pure devotional service. So it's rare to find pure devotional service in this world. Very rare. Very rare. Most people, they say, yes, I'm a devotee, I'm also worshipping Krishna just like you are. Maybe one day you'll also be fortunate to be born in a Hindu family or whatever it may be, and you could worship like me. Some people think like that. One time Prabhupada sent, well no, he didn't send, a couple of his disciples went to a temple in Vrindavan, where I don't know. Some Brahmins were there. They said, if you carry on doing what you're doing, you may be fortunate to be born as a Brahmin in Vrindavan in your next lifetime. They didn't know what to say, so they mentioned Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, you go back there and tell them if they carry on doing what they're doing, they might be fortunate to be born in New York in their next lifetime and join the Sankirtan movement. You can't relate what it means to sacrifice. People not very, and we see preachers of all faiths performing great sacrifices, no doubt, and we're not going to say they're not unalloyed either or unmotivated. They may be, but in general, the general tendency of everyone is motivated at best, motivated devotional service, generally, and oftentimes they're not. There's material motivations involved. We may have them too. So we don't. Understood. It's understood. It's not like that is the goal of our lives, to engage in motivated service. It's not. It's just to help us. Or to help spread the word. Prabhupada took advantage of our passion. He took advantage of our, the same, taking advantage in a positive way, not exploitative way, to help both us to become enthusiastic to preach and to help other living entities to receive the message through that enthusiastic preaching. It may not be absolutely pure, but it's nonetheless, those are generally very enthusiastic. And enthusiasm, charism, enthusiasm is really let's say the force. Purity is the force, but enthusiasm is also force. It's a force which, if you're not enthusiastic, you probably experienced that. If you're not very enthusiastic, I mean, Krishna can do anything. Sometimes people just walk up to you, say, "I want a book." I'm not going to give you a book. No, I want a book. No, I'm not going to give you one. I really must have it. I want it. I want it. I'll pay anything. You don't get many people like that. Very rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very rare. I'm hiding the book, I'm not going to show anyone the book. And they come, "What have you got in your bag? Have you got a book about Krishna in your bag?" "I've been searching my whole life for a book about Krishna. Please help me." You don't meet people like that.
No.
I was now drunk.
They're drunk. They want the money in your bag more than they do. People come up looking for the money in your bag, that's for sure.
Yes.
Their God is money. Yeah, the enthusiasm has to be there. I mean, it can't get anywhere without enthusiasm. That's for sure. It's like Gita Jayanti, Friday. Huh? Yesterday, I don't know who they were, 2 Indian men came up and said, "Gita Jayanti, Friday, take this book. You've got to buy this book right now. It's Gita Jayanti." 10.
Oh.
I don't know if it's enthusiasm or just laziness, but somehow or another, I think many of the real devotees, real distributing books like yourselves, like that. Somebody just say a couple of words and that's enough to do it. Let's see, it is Gita Jayanti on Friday, isn't it? Is that right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Good day to distribute. Lots and lots of Bhagavad Gita, Shiva Ram Prabhu. Don't forget Friday is Gita Jayanti. Good day to distribute lots of Bhagavad Gitas.
I'm leaving, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, that doesn't mean you can't distribute Bhagavad Gita. We're not going to let you off the hook that easy. He didn't know when he booked his tickets he's going away on Friday morning. He won't be here in the evening. During the day on the street. You can do it on the train. Harini, every day we see pictures of Harini and sometimes others distributing books on the train. Right? That's Nanda, I think the other day, Leela Manjari, pictures of devotees on the train, Eleanor, Yumi, distributing books to people on the train. They might kick you off, you may have to come back to miss your train.
That would be a big blessing.
Oh, we might be getting the recruit. I don't know if it's a temporary recruit or what. I don't know. But Baptiste is planned to join you today
Oh, today.
on book distribution. I spoke to him last night.
Nice.
Planned to join us. Baptiste,
But
you know him? Remember him from New Microns?
very enthusiastic.
Huh?
He's
Oh, he can be, yeah.
Very enthusiastic.
Oh, over enthusiastic.
Yes.
Yeah, he's capable of doing a heck of a lot of books. It just
Yeah.
depends on his mind. But he's amazing devotee. Love him. He's a wonderful soul. So he might be joining us today.
Jai.
Let's see. He loves it down in Châtelet. We'll see. I don't know the Châtelet. The thing is, you meet a lot of there. You generally meet people who will be really interested. You meet a lot of people who aren't, but you meet some people who are always very. They're like, everyone goes there. It's like you catch. There's a big fish. Generally in the suburbs, people are just simple, innocent. Okay, blah blah blah. You don't always meet so many seriously interested people. In the city, you generally do. But there's pros and cons to everything. Also, you see, especially if you're doing Harinam, every time you do Harinam, tens of thousands of people hear the holy name. Tens of thousands. They all get tremendous benefit, even though you may not be the best singer on the planet. Somehow, if you're sincerely trying to chant the holy name of Krishna, they get permanent impression in their hearts. May not be materially, it may not be so good, but spiritually it's there. Spiritually it's there. I never forget Vidura. You always remember that story of Vidura when he started doing Sankirtan in Paris. You remember he was sometimes they'd go to Châtelet. He was going to Kremlin. Vidura was leading Kirtan, and sometimes the police would tell us to buzz off in those days. They don't go away. Michelle, they don't tell us now. We used to sometimes. So he was leading Kirtan. He was trying to play the harmonium. He was way out of tune. Anyway, the police started walking towards us. He said, "Oh no, they're going to tell us to shove off, go away." And the policeman came up and said, "Will you please sing in tune?" He just walked away. He was singing out of tune, The harmonium was one note and he was singing a different one, The policeman didn't appreciate it. Hare Krishna.